world, I hope that this election season was better for you than it was for the many lives that are affected by the choices that we make in our everyday lives, including the choice to vote and who we vote for. I know this video would have been more useful before the election, but I'd rather be late than never. I wanted to make a video speaking out for who I voted for and why. I waited last minute to make my decision and actually looked into the candidates only a week before the election, but I'm a very cautious person and I weigh my options very carefully. Dario Hunter is black, gay, Jewish, and the son of a Persian immigrant. His words. If your state didn't have him on the ballot, you would have needed to do a write-in. I turned my ballot into the courthouse to avoid it being tampered with through the mailings. So I've put on the screen a list of some of the stances his candidate covered. These ones are the most important to me. I added what he supports and how he intends to support his stance. Women's rights, LGBTQ+ rights, trans rights, indigenous rights, racial equality. You can read how he would stand behind his ideals and values as president. I'm not going to read it all, but you can see that he wants to defund the police, tax the rich, make tuition-free education, legalize marijuana, decriminalize drug use, etc. So we can see that Dario Hunter stands for environmental, social, economic, and racial justice. He would have been accompanied by a woman vice president named Dawn Neptune, an activist for indigenous rights. If you want to know more or verify my findings, I encourage you to check out his official websites and social media pages. You can pause the video if you want a better look at my notes. Okay, so I'm going over the election results for Oregon now, and you can see where most counties stand on their values. Most of rural Oregon, where diversity is lacking the most, favors the racist, sexist, homophobic narcissist Donald Trump, the western part of Oregon being the most diverse and accepting of people's differences. We are just generalizing here, yet we can discern that at least more Oregonians didn't want Trump to win than those who did. You can also see some of our other options that Oregonians had faith in, but their numbers are overshadowed by douche versus turd. But it does give me hope to see that I am not the only one brave enough to break the loop of the two-party system. Maybe if we get enough people to vote for who they truly want in the future, we can break away from this two-party system. Imagine people who voted for who they actually wanted without trying to cancel out someone else's vote. I know that a lot of people who voted for Biden only did so to avoid getting Donald Trump again, and as thrilled as I am as he is out of the White House, I am not so happy with who we are stuck with. This year, Oregon gave voters an option to have a second choice on the ballot, not for president, but for other positions, and I think it would be beneficial to make it so that everyone can have a second choice in future presidential elections, so at least we can see where the people's loyalties really lie. But why vote for someone unlikely to win? I've made it clear on my past voting videos that I don't settle for less, and I don't choose the lesser evil, because voting for the lesser evil has been done, and it doesn't move us forwards. As the law of attraction predicts, if you keep voting for the lesser evil, that is likely the only option you'll ever get. We need to set our bar higher, and the more people that set their bar higher, the greater our opportunities. I refuse to vote for someone that doesn't stand for the values I believe in, and I don't want to be responsible for putting someone in office that I don't fully stand behind. Voting to me is voting for someone who I sincerely want to be elected, who I believe can make changes for the better. Dario Hunter stands for what I stand for, with very minor differences. It would be dishonorable to believe in someone that has a chance, but not vote for them, and instead vote for someone who doesn't share nearly the same values as me, in hopes of offsetting other people's votes. You won't ever catch me voting for someone who doesn't fully stand behind racial equality, indigenous rights, women's rights, LGBTQ+ rights, trans rights, etc., because that is not who I am. So you won't see me voting for someone who plays it safe on the line and isn't outspoken against injustice. My approach to voting may be radical, but it is what I believe is ethically and morally right, and I stand behind my ethics and morals. So why not Trump or Biden? Neither deserve to lead this nation and represent the next generation and their needs. They are ignorant of their own ideologies and words, and have been caught being contradicted by their past selves numerous times. Both don't fully stand behind women's rights, indigenous rights, LGBTQ+, and trans rights, racial equality, legalization of marijuana, ending the war on drugs, the list goes on. They are terrible choices for anyone who values the environment and social and racial equality. They are unfit to be leaders. They think about profits before the health and well-being of the people, and they stand in outdated social norms. And the libertarian Jo Jorgensen, instead of bringing a people together, her message to everyone is just to let people do what they want. You can do this or not do this. She supports adoption for gay couples, but she says she won't force any adoption agency to accept or deny them on the grounds of discrimination. She also doesn't support racism, but she won't support a law to make hate speech illegal. Hate speech is a form of violence, and society would benefit from its absence. I can't put my heart behind this person. Now would I vote for Dario again next election? I can't predict my actions 4 years from now, and I can't forecast what kind of society and government we will have in the future. But I can expect that I will follow my heart and do what I believe is best for the future of this world, to the best of my abilities. So, aside from the presidential election, the ballot for Oregon had some propositions that the people wanted addressed. So I voted yes on Prop 110 because it would decriminalize possession of drugs like cocaine and heroin and offer addiction recovery opportunities. And I voted yes on Prop 108 to increase cigarette tax to put money towards healthcare programs for low-income families, including mental health care services and programs that focus on addressing the addiction and diseases related to smoking. And I voted yes on Prop 109, which brings the opportunity for psilocybin to be brought in and be more accepted in our community through therapy to help people through trauma, addiction, and depression. And yes on Prop 107, which limits the contributions made to influence an election, as money shouldn't be a factor in candidate success. This means that this makes it so that campaign and election ads identify who paid them. I believe this information should be public so we can see who may be able to gain from or influence candidates. I support this full transparency. I will still do what I believe is right, even if my vote doesn't matter to anybody else, because the actions and reactions of others does not define me and won't discourage me into being silent. Somebody told me they wouldn't listen to my words against racism. That wouldn't stop me from being outspoken against racism. I will not be disempowered into submission. Voting by ballot isn't the only way I let the world know what I stand for. I speak my mind every time I buy food, products, and services, through my actions and services, and when I post on social media, and then some. Voting by ballot isn't the only thing I do, but it is the very least I can do. I hope you all made your voice count this election, and perhaps with this next president, we won't go backwards in evolution. And if you didn't vote, I hope you will feel more motivated to make your voice heard next election. It was socially unacceptable for women to speak their minds and vote in a male-dominant society. Women weren't allowed to vote until the 1920s, including Native women and other minorities. And even then, taxes and literacy tests made it difficult for them to vote. People have been limiting people's voices for long enough. I will never feel intimidated or guilty for using my voice and speaking up for what I believe in, or for who I believe in. How convenient it must be for the oppressors that the people believe their voices don't matter. Society has conditioned us to be silent because their insecurities don't want to hear the voice of reason or criticism. Don't be afraid to speak up and use your voice. Be seen and be heard. For me, social, humanitarian, and environmental values are the most important. The people of this world matter to me more than finances, budgets, and numbers. We are a capable people, and we can change the world for the better by scrapping old methods that no longer work and giving more modern options a try. No one should ever be in need. Only 451 can remind us not to be silent in the face of injustice, to be seen and heard, and to be true to ourselves. Some of her last words before execution were, "If I had remained invisible, the truth would stay hidden. I couldn't allow that." My name is Fide, and I am a free speech-loving, tree-hugging, porn-watching, opinionated hippie woman, and I am not ashamed of who I am. Power to the people! If you find value in my content, please show your support by clicking the appropriate buttons or leaving a comment below. Thank you for listening, and I encourage you to speak your truths and follow your heart. Live long and prosper.